It's May 24th, 2014, and Helene and I are staying at Gordon's in Muskoka Lakes on Rat Bay. And Gordon and I are just going to do the Spin of the Lakes bike tour, which I'll probably do about 10 to 15 kilometers of. So we have the bike on the back of the car, and we're about to put Gord's bike up there as well, and we're going to be off in just a few minutes.
Some of you may be aware, but not all of us, that about 100 years ago, Huntsville had a world-class wind band. Yes, absolutely world-class. Kind of in the same level as John Philip Sousa in Washington, D.C., or E.F. Goldman in New York. And everybody looks at me when I say that and says, that's got to be bunk. But here's how it worked. 100 years ago, in Huntsville, what is now KWH Pipe used to be something called the Anglo-Canadian Leather Company. It was owned by a guy by the name of C.O. Shaw, who was quite the music enthusiast, a fine cornet player by himself. He was very rich. It was a very, very successful company. And he got the idea that he just wanted to build a band for himself. He's also the guy that developed Big One Island into the resort and so forth, same fellow. And so he said to himself, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to hire John Philip Sousa's finest cornet player to be my band leader. So he hired Herbert L. Clark to come to Huntsville and gave Mr. Clark a blank check to hire anybody he wanted to put in his band. This was in 1917, and Mr. Clark stayed in Huntsville from 1917 till the mid-1920s, when his wife began to get a little bit ill from, I don't know, maybe black flies, I'm not sure. Anyway, somewhere in the mid-20s, they had to move because of her health, and they moved off to California, where they stayed for the rest of their lives. But in that intervening time of some 7 or 8 years, the Anglo-Canadian Leather Company band toured Canada and the rest of the world as one of the top bands in the world. And so it was quite a coup, I would say, for us here in Muskoka to have something like that. And I will say that even to this day, some of the things that we have in our library are left over 100 years from that band. So we have a kind of an interesting connection to some of the musical past here. Mr. Clark himself was considered the finest cornet player on the planet, bar none, and he was incredible. There are still some recordings of him about, and what he could play is still almost unequaled to this day, 100 years later. But we have a player in our band, Gord Duncan, who wants to try. And in fact, what he wants to do is he wants to play one of Mr. Clark's solos. Herbert Clark wrote a whole raft of cornet solos for himself and also for people that were in his bands. And this particular one was written right here in Muskoka. It's called Stars in a Velvety Sky. And on a night like tonight, when you go out, say at 10 o'clock tonight, and look up, this is what he was writing about. Stars in a Velvety Sky right here in Muskoka. And so please help me welcome Gord Duncan to play Stars in a Velvety Sky. literature about how to learn how to play the trumpet while he was here in Huntsville. And so it's nice to kind of look back at the beginning of those books and talk about how life was in Muskoka at that time, 100 years ago or so. It's kind of very, very interesting. This next piece is also a feature piece. And in this case, we'd like to feature our flute section. We have, in my view, one of the greatest flute sections we've had in quite some time. We've got a number of new people, new faces in the group, and it's been just a delight to be able to just think about things that you'd like to do on a concert and then just do them. And so this is one of those. Robert White is an American composer, and he decided to in some ways sort of commemorate one of the great North American builders of flutes, the Gemeinhardt Company. They've been building flutes here in North America for, I don't know, maybe 150 years or so. And he wrote what's called the Gemeinhardt Suite, which is really a feature number, if you will, for the flute section in a band. Rather than play the whole suite today, we decided we'd do the middle movement, which is kind of almost a kind of dreamy Caribbean sort of a thing for flutes and just a little bit of percussion. So sit back, consider yourself in a warm climate, which you are today, so this is nice, and just think about the palm trees swaying and enjoy yourselves. And please, welcome the flute section. Trumpet section so that we can just do a little swinging. There's a little extra room out here in the aisle. If you feel like you have to dance, come right out. Very good.
Thank you.